Are hearts sang? Isn't it usually hearts cried? I mean, depends on the situation. There sure is a lot of mention of songs and music in this zone. Right, because we're talking about creation. Guys, the clues are right in front of you. Gold and blue speckled everywhere. Creation magics, secrets, cycles, beginnings and endings, music, songs. Like, come on, man. It's right there. It's right there. It's the Song of Creation from Iluvatar. It's very much right there. Azeroth is the creator, in case you haven't come to terms with that yet. Azeroth is the creator of the universe. So let me put it this way, chat. If I believe Azeroth is creation, and Azerite is the blood manifestation of creation and destruction, as blue and gold, and we see that the two different primary aspects of a soul when they're split appear as blue and gold, and then we get to Zereth Mortis and we see the blue and gold, and then we see Argus and we see the blue and gold. I mean, there's a theme happening. As a fractal, occurring over and over and over again. So, my mind, when I'm walking through places like this zone, is fundamentally not doing the same thing that the average player is doing. And I don't mean that as like my superior mind. I don't mean it like that. Just the way that I'm looking at it is from a different perspective. I came into Zereth Mortis with the understanding that this is a realm that perhaps Azeroth and or Argus once literally walked. Like, this is a place where their influence has manifested. When I see giant stone walls with blue and gold in them, it's really hard for me to not make the connection. I'm a very, very visual thinker. When I look at this tree, these ringed trees floating in the air, I'm instantly reminded of the Emerald Dream. And thus I draw parallels between them and think, why might they be the same? And in what ways are they different? So, the way that I, like, perceive this stuff when I play through it is just different. I'm constantly thinking of it in terms of cosmic scale. I'm constantly thinking of it in terms of, how could this relate to the Titans? How could this relate to the Eternals? You know, and even smaller things, the Brokers, the Ethereals. How does this relate to the Demons? What is this? No, like, now that we know about the Primus and the Jailer, like, the way that I look at Antorus the Burning Throne has changed. Like, the more perspective that I get, the more that things will change. And this is one of the things that Farim... Oh. Speak of the devil. This is one of the things that Farim says as well, is it's not a matter of if the idea will change, it's just a matter of when. You think that you might be biased in your thinking sometimes? Duh. That's why I changed the way that I think. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm trying to explain to you that that's why I don't stay stuck on one thing. That's why my ideas are constantly changing. People think that it's because I don't have a basis for the ideas, or that I don't have core beliefs that things are founded upon. That's absolutely not the case. I have core beliefs about this. I have evidence for things that most people just don't think are a thing. And here's the thing. That's how everything has worked. And that's what I'm kind of trying to point out as well, as one of the biggest themes in World of Warcraft is fundamentally the repetition of events and cycles. It happens continuously in World of Warcraft. That is what the entire concept of fractals is about. Inherently linked things that lead to recurring themes and patterns. That's what Farim's talking about, the patterns. Do you see the patterns? Yeah, Farim, I fucking see them. Most people probably think Farim's a nut job when they play through this. They're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? He is insane, but he's not. But he's not. So if you understand fractals and stuff, you can start to see in World of Warcraft how the themes have repeated. And I think that I'm still failing to understand certain repeating cycles. I won't claim to know them all. I will not claim to know them all. You have to be able to change. You have to be willing to change. It's the same concept for how a person might behave. And I say this all not to exude any type of self-righteousness. I don't feel that way. I just feel that pattern recognition is like truly a real fundamental of like reality, not just this video game. It's a concept drawn from reality. And when you look at, like you were saying, if I wrote a book that was inspired by WoW, it's literally contributing to the fractal nature of things. Like, the themes that exist here inspired the thought process that led to the creation of this other thing, which is similar. It rhymes. It's not identical, but it's so fucking similar that you can make comparisons. That's why I made that video comparing Lucifer and Melkor and Morgoth, because I think that is big symbolically for the inspiration of a character like Sargeras, like the fallen angel, the fallen greatest fucking champion of God. Like, that's crazy. And I think that Chris feels the same way, and I think that he's written World of Warcraft in the same way. That's why you have Egyptian stuff, Mesopotamian stuff, Norse stuff, Greek stuff, fucking Mesoamerican stuff. It's why you have stuff from Africa. It's why you have stuff from all over the Asian region. Like, because these things inherently repeat. Everything does. It's fascinating. I feel like when you I don't know, when you look at life in the universe that way, and like, it's crazy because World of Warcraft as a video game is just another fractal of that same story, those same stories that have been told. But instead of being direct one-to-one copies, they're just changed. They're similar, they rhyme, they're inspired by, but they're never exactly one-to-one. And that's the folly in when you're looking up things like N'Zoth and trying to compare N'Zoth to like a specific old god. Oh, Hirukon's up, cool. That like, you can't just look at one thing from Lovecraft and be like, that's it, sick, we figured it out. No. It's every entity, every god for the most part, and almost even every character is inspired by other characters from other creations of literature throughout humankind, which is amazing. It's why you're able to speculate and come up with these ideas about World of Warcraft like you do, because if we didn't have the capacity and ability to like recognize this, where this was inspired from, and go and research about it, we wouldn't have the opportunity to use that information to theorize about its meaning in World of Warcraft, of which it and it certainly has meaning. It certainly has meaning. Why the fuck would they put it in if it didn't have any meaning? Not everything in life is just made because, oh, it's just cool. Yes, of course they're going to try to make things look cool. They always do. They're always going to try to make it cool. Duh. It's like how they're always going to try to write something that's cool. It doesn't always work, though. But at the same time, it's just this repetitious nature exists in life. Why do you guys think that I compare myself to someone like fucking someone like Sargeras, or to someone like Farim? Because these characters in some ways are fractals of things that maybe I see in myself, or people have, said that are there. Like, some people, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that, like, Farak, for instance, Deathwing, I'm not trying to destroy the world. No, obviously that's not the point. It's more about the behavior of isolation and rage and what that does to people's perception of you, and how that affects even your body and your psyche and your day-to-day life. That, like, I don't know. I don't know. I just think that there's lessons to be learned. And so from WoW, from this stuff, I feel like I've learned more about philosophy, religion, and the nature of the universe than I was ever taught in school. They don't teach you to think like this in school. They don't teach you to think about these kinds of things. It's what, I think for a lot of people, it's what religion exists for. Some of the religions that people, engage in are just handled in such a way that, like, they're not very considerate or inclusive of other perspectives, which, if people would realize, the other religions are mostly just different perspectives of the same concepts told in different ways. That's why when you look into, like, root civilizations of mankind and you study their religious beliefs and structures and civilizations, you notice similarities because we're creatures of habit, and like everything else, there's a pattern to what's occurring. And if you believe that there can be a pattern to reality itself, then I mean, if you I don't know, if you conceivably could learn to recognize the pattern that exists, then theoretically one could, you know, attain some form of enlightenment about the truth of reality beyond what science is able to measure and define. And that's the magic of fantasy universes. It's the magic of characters like Farim trying to explain what science cannot.